In the land of rolling hills and ancient olive groves, a tale of courage and faith unfolds. Picture a bustling Israelite camp, filled with soldiers in shimmering armor, their faces etched with worry. Among them stands King Saul, his golden crown glinting in the sun, his broad shoulders slumped with the weight of leadership. Across the valley, the Philistine army looms, their ranks a sea of menacing figures, but one towers above them all. Goliath, a giant of a man with muscles like boulders and a beard as wild as a lion's mane. His booming voice echoes across the battlefield, challenging any Israelite to face him in single combat. Day after day, Goliath's taunts ring out, and day after day, the Israelite soldiers cower in fear. Even King Saul, once a mighty warrior himself, now stands frozen, his once proud posture now bent with indecision. Into this scene of tension and fear comes a young shepherd boy named David. His curly red hair bounces as he walks, his freckled face alight with curiosity. He's carrying a basket of food for his older brothers, who are part of the Israelite army. David's eyes are wide with wonder as he takes in the sights and sounds of the military camp. As David reaches his brothers, he hears Goliath's thunderous challenge. The young boy's brow furrows in confusion. He turns to his brothers, his green eyes flashing with indignation. "Why does no one stand up to this giant?" he asks. "He insults our God and our people." The soldiers around him shift uncomfortably, avoiding David's gaze. Even his brothers try to shush him, embarrassed by his outspoken nature. But David won't be silenced. With determination in his step, he marches towards King Saul's tent. Inside, we see King Saul, his weathered face lined with worry. David stands before him, small but unafraid. "I will fight Goliath," he declares, his voice steady and clear. The king looks down at the boy, his eyebrows raised in disbelief. "You? But you're just a child," Saul protests, his voice tinged with both concern and amusement. David, however, is undeterred. He tells the king of how he's protected his flock from lions and bears, his hands gesturing animatedly as he speaks. Convinced by David's passion, if not his size, Saul nods slowly. He turns and retrieves his own armor, a magnificent set of gleaming metal plates. With great ceremony, he begins to dress David in the royal armor. But as the last piece is placed, we see David stumble, nearly falling under the weight. The armor is comically large on his small frame, the helmet slipping down over his eyes. With a sheepish grin, David shakes his head and removes the armor, piece by piece. Instead, he reaches for his shepherd's bag, pulling out a simple sling. As he walks towards the battlefield, he stops by a stream. There he carefully selects 5 smooth stones, each one fitting perfectly in his palm. With these humble weapons, David strides forward to face the giant. On the battlefield, Goliath waits, his massive frame casting a long shadow. His armor gleams in the sun, his spear as tall as a tree. When he sees David approaching, his laugh booms across the valley. "Am I a dog," he roars, "that you come at me with sticks?" But David stands tall, his chin held high. "You come against me with sword and spear," he calls out, his young voice carrying far, "but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." As he speaks, David loads a stone into his sling. With practiced ease, David begins to spin the sling. Faster and faster it whirls, until it's just a blur above his head. Then, with a sharp snap of his wrist, David releases the stone. It flies through the air, a tiny projectile against the massive target. Time seems to slow as the stone arcs towards Goliath. The giant's eyes widen in surprise, then shock as the stone strikes him squarely in the forehead. For a moment, Goliath stands frozen, swaying slightly. Then, like a mighty oak felled by a woodsman's axe, he crashes to the ground. The battlefield falls silent, all eyes fixed on the fallen giant. Then, as realization dawns, chaos erupts. The Philistine army, seeing their champion defeated, turns and flees in panic. The Israelites, emboldened by David's victory, give chase with jubilant cries. In the midst of it all stands David, his sling still in hand, looking almost surprised at what he's accomplished. King Saul rushes forward, his face beaming with pride and relief. He clasps David's shoulder, proclaiming him a hero to all who can hear. As the dust settles and the cheers fade, we see David surrounded by his fellow Israelites. His brothers, once embarrassed by his presence, now look at him with newfound respect. The other soldiers who had cowered in fear of Goliath now celebrate the courage of this young shepherd boy. David's victory over Goliath became a legend, told and retold for generations. It wasn't just a story of a boy defeating a giant, but a testament to the power of faith and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. David showed that true strength comes not from physical size or mighty weapons, but from unwavering belief and trust in a higher power. This tale reminds us that heroes can come in all sizes, and that sometimes the most unlikely among us can achieve the greatest feats. It teaches us to face our fears, to stand up for what we believe in, even when the odds seem insurmountable. For in every David, there lies the potential to overcome any Goliath that life may put in our path. I hoped you enjoyed our stories. Please hit the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.